And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, everybody? Gene Bardelli, Ross Galloway here with you. I hope all of our Jewish listeners, as I lean for my water bottle, which is down here, I hope all of our Jewish listeners had an easy fast during Rosh Hashanah. And everybody else out there, I hope you enjoyed the past couple of weeks, despite what's been going on in the news. Ross, you ready for an interesting show?
Definitely an interesting show, and I'm so glad that you've taken up the mantle of Jewish listener liaison. I know we had spoken about that in months past, and I didn't think you were really going to. Keep up. I appreciate
clearly
it.
You weren't going to do it, so someone had to.
I definitely won't do
it. Someone had to step up, and because we are a Big Tent here behind enemy lines, I'm glad that you're all here with us. We got people coming in right now. I want to thank all of our friends at KLRN Radio who are jumping on board with us right about now. Glad you guys are here with us. We have an interesting and hopefully thought-provoking show here because we've taken a lot of time off. I know I wasn't ready to go back on air, and I've been absorbing a lot of information from a lot of different news sources ever since the assassination of Charlie Kirk and many events that have followed since then. And it's almost been what I like to call the Ross Galloway effect of news coverage. There's been so much being thrown at us lately, all in the same related area, that it's kind of hard to get your thoughts wrapped around just one. At least it was for me, pal.
My thoughts are pretty much still on point, man. I am still pushing for a national divorce. I think the left just got us another shooting closer today, and I'm not backing off that position. So hopefully we can get into that tonight.
Well, we're going to definitely get into that position. But before we get into the show, I just want to remind everybody that basically we need all of you out there to like, share, subscribe. We've had a nice uptick in Freedom Chat subscribers, which we love. Shout out to all of our Freedom Chat people. Hopefully you remember to get on there and check us out as we're live. If not, I'll be sending you out a reminder in a second. But wherever you're watching, whether it be YouTube, Rumble, X, like, share, subscribe, follow, all the things that they want you to do on their particular platform. And hopefully this video here will entice you to do so. So we have a lot to talk about here, pal. Where do you want to start? I kind of want you to sort of steer the show because while we're both angry, we're both taking different ways of dealing with that anger, I think. And I want you, because frankly, you are the voice of an angry America and have been for so long in my head. I want you to take me on the journey so I can better understand where you and people who think like you are coming from.
Well, I think we should spin the wheel, man. I know we have a bunch of good clips, and I want to comment on all of them. That one you were playing right before we came on the show, I thought was a great start. If you could set that up and throw it up.
Sure. So I find it amazing in the past week. The title of the show is Kirk, Kimmel, and the Politics of Hypocrisy, right? So I feel like we are living in probably the most hypocritical time in American life that I think I can remember. And to me, I think we need to go back and show these Democrats who have suddenly found their free speech voice, and they finally found their advocacy and their value of free speech, to go back and tell us what they were all saying about Donald Trump and fascism. Now, let's start off with those Democrats that were using their free speech rights to call Donald Trump and you and I fascists.
And what this committee has been...
I got to rewind that. So
you shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
If people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block. It's really hard to govern today.
This is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
The First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect any single thing anyone says. And there are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media.
When you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence. Very clearly incitement of violence. I believe that when it comes to broadcast television, like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't.
So my biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the government in significant ways.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're defenders of the First Amendment right there. Oh, wait. No, that wasn't them. They're the ones who wanted to suppress you, who wanted Tucker Carlson taken off the air, who wanted your voices suppressed, who employed social media companies to do the government's bidding. As we heard recently, Google admit, joining now Facebook and X, these are now your heroes of the First Amendment. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Good to see you there as well. Shout out to Rick Robinson in the chat hanging out with us. Rick, if you want to get down on this, let me know. Ross, what are you thinking?
So here's what I'm thinking. It was definitely wrong when they said it, right? And for a whole host of reasons. Let me just name a few. Number one, no such thing as hate speech, right? There is really no such thing. Also, misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, those are fucking made up terms by the government, okay? There is no such thing as any of those things. Those are all absolutely protected by free speech. And when we say protected under the First Amendment, protected from who, Mr. Birdelli, counselor?
From the government.
Who is the First Amendment? From the government, yes. So Jimmy Kimmel and even Donald Trump back when Twitter banned him, it technically wasn't on the surface a government enforcement action. Okay, now we come to find out that a lot of the Twitter stuff and the YouTube stuff and the Facebook stuff was in fact the government utilizing a third party to silence American citizens. Okay, but the Jimmy Kimmel one was not, right? The FCC didn't shut down Jimmy Kimmel. Donald Trump doesn't like Jimmy Kimmel, but didn't have anything to do with ABC temporarily suspending him. He's back on the air, right? But these people, these scumbag leftists, took us off. Where's Roseanne Barr nowadays, Gene? She's gone, right? Didn't the president of the United States was banned from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, right? That was right back then. And those people had protections under Section 230, right? That they were not taking any editorial action on people's free speech, but they did when it came to us. So fuck them.
Throw Gina Carano in there as well. Another Disney company, another Disney action where she was fired from The Mandalorian, had to sue, had to get Elon Musk to fund that lawsuit. Let's be clear. No one suppressed Jimmy Kimmel's speech. Let's be further clear. Jimmy Kimmel never even lost his job over it as compared to other conservatives. Tucker Carlson lost his job because they came at him for free speech grounds or for suppressing speech. I want to give former Michigan Congressman Peter Major the floor here to explain the difference between what the left is trying to do now in supporting free speech and the realities of what free speech is. Let's look at this clip.
Be able to speak your mind without retribution from the government. This is a government that is controlling law firms, media companies, educational institutions, and silencing opposition at the end of the day.
He's talking about the Trump administration, by the way, when we say this is a former Biden administration lackey talking right here.
And it's because of the money on the table from Nexstar, their $1 billion merger, and that Disney lost their $4 billion in market cap, that is causing all of this action. They're afraid of the government is exactly what Donald Trump wants.
Who was silenced? Nobody's silenced. We're not.
Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air. You have universities afraid to speak their mind. You have research being completely
we talk
defunded.
About the blue and the red division. Every single one of the reasons why the FCC has a role is because these are broadcast stations with a monopoly that was granted by the government.
Do you feel good about?
No,
Do you feel
and I would hate it if the federal government came in and said, you may not say that. The reason why Jimmy Kimmel got himself into the first place is he was repeating a lie believed by 1 in 3 Democrats that the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk
he did not
had
say that.
right of center beliefs.
He did not say that.
We can parse his verbiage all day long. If he comes out and says, listen, that was not what I was trying to say, thank you. Fantastic. I appreciate that, Mr. Kimmel. The problem is that is believed. And we have spent way more time treating Jimmy Kimmel as a victim than the person who was shot and killed in front of their wife and children.
Let me ask you a question. If Joe Biden took down a prominent right-wing personality on TV for what he or she said, would you endorse that?
What if? Are you serious right now? By the way, I want to address this real quick. My friend Rick Robinson wants to know regarding the tagline from me on the screen, which is, I won't let what happened change me. How can what they keep doing not change you? The message there for me, at least, and we'll get into this a little later after the clips, is that I refuse to stop mocking them or stop pointing and laughing at them. I refuse to stop being what I like to think is a happy warrior. I am not going to let their hate make me hate. That's just not going to happen. That's what I mean by that. Ross, I'll let you respond if you want to, but I do want to continue on with the clip. So you go ahead and say what you got to say to that.
On with the clip, please. I don't want to address that nonsense. I won't even address that yet. We'll save that for later.
Okay, so going on with the clip. Meanwhile, I'm checking all the screen captures I'm looking at here. That
if the Biden administration went and jawboned, let's say, social media platforms.
I'm talking about a similar allegory of someone on TV
hundreds of conservatives.
Will you answer my question?
No, that is literally what the administration that you served did. Google just released
a broadcast
all of
TV host taken down for words that they say or intimidated on. I will not approve
in the
your merger.
history of the FCC, they have done that plenty of times on the right.
Was the FCC chair saying we're going to do this the easy way or the hard way, like a mobster?
Your administration
were they
deplatformed and kicked off of social media? You want to talk about actually silencing? Having any single public outlet that you have unallowed to broadcast something, right? Jimmy Kimmel could go on MSNBC tomorrow. He's going back on ABC tonight. This man has not been silenced. Charlie Kirk's been silenced because he's dead. A lot of conservatives were silenced on social media platforms because the government threatened those social media companies. Facebook, Google, Twitter. You can go down all the list. YouTube, again, just acknowledged to Congress today that they did that at the behest of the Biden administration.
Okay, I got so distracted at the end here because Coffee Grinder wanted to let Ross know that they're replacing rats with lawyers in most labs now. I thought we were boys. I thought we were friends, but all right.
Not soon enough.
I can take a joke. All right. Rick says, put me in, coach. So I'm going to be sending him
CNN always finds. Yeah. So CNN always finds like a decent representative, not like the best, right? What that leftist was doing was your classic straw man argument. He couldn't point to a single media figure that the right, as in the government electeds, have ever taken off the air because it never fucking happened, right? Joe Biden has done that. Our side has never had. So he set up the straw man argument. Would you support a right winger getting taken off the air? We didn't take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. No elected official had anything to do with it. And this might shock you. I would not support that, right? We fall into this trap. And Gene, I've had this argument with you many times where you sometimes I feel like fall into this trap where we got to tone down the rhetoric and both sides. No, it's not the rhetoric. It's the fucking mental illness on the left. They're violent, mentally ill people. It has nothing to do with the rhetoric. You could say that doesn't help it. It doesn't help things, right? If you keep calling the other side Nazis and a Gestapo and then, it doesn't help, right? But at the end of the day, they have a mental health crisis on that side of the aisle and they're deviants. Just ask yourself this, Gene, and I'll shut up. Every time you see a lunatic on the subway, right? Whether it's green hair or too many fucking piercings or doesn't know what gender they are or screaming into the wind or urinating on a platform, which political party, if they vote, do you think they vote for? It's without a doubt. Every time you find something that is someone that is mentally unstable, they are to the left on the political spectrum and they identify as a Democrat. It's uncanny. It's always true. It's never not true.
Agreed. I'm going to bring Rick Robinson in right now to join us, even though I'm going to regret it. Rick, my man, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing all right. You know, you didn't have to extend me the invite if you're going to drag me.
No. It's my own kink. I guess I like it. I do want to bolster Ross's point right now by going through yet another set of clips. This last one was from Grabby, and this one's from Western Lensman, I believe, of many prominent Democrats calling Republicans, Donald Trump, you and me, fascists.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
But wait, there's even more, because this has been going on for years upon years. This is another compilation I found online.
Calling his supporters racist as well. That MAGA symbol has come to represent something. It is the new Nazi symbol. It is the new hood.
Because they're not a party, right? They're Sinn Féin to the IRA. They're the PLO to Hamas. They're a dime store front for a terrorist movement.
The Republican Party is basically a domestic terrorist cell at this point, and they should be treated as such.
There are elements of the GOP that are starting to look like the jihadists.
Not a political party. They're a white nationalist movement. They're a fascist threat to our nation. That's not hyperbolic. That's academic.
Would have once seemed hyperbolic, but it increasingly does feel like the Republican Party has become a death cult, and it's all about Donald Trump.
There is no alternative right now, because the Republican Party project today is a fascist authoritarian project.
Fact is, Republicans in Congress are still in the grip of the ultra MAGA agenda.
Party of dupes, party of knuckleheads, party of weirdos, party of freaks. So that is a simple message. And underneath that, it's the party of nothing.
It has become an authoritarian embracing cult. It is fascist.
We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States.
I hope you guys saw in that we're not even halfway through this clip, by the way. This is about 5 minutes long. There's even more. But I hope you saw the dates in the upper left-hand corner of the screen of between 2017 to 2020. We're now in 2025. This is over a decade of the same hatred that has been washing over this political bubble. And it's a wonder that we've only had the amount of violence that we had, although it seems to be exploding now. But it's also a wonder, Russ, that Republicans have sat there and taken it for over a decade.
Well, look, I love throwing ribs at little jabs into your ribs too, Gene. So look at your tagline, right? It's been fucking 10 years, if not longer, and nothing's going to change you. These motherfuckers have declared war on us. So you can pretend like we'll talk our way out of this. You're not talking your way out of this. right? We're on the subway at 3 a.m. and we're surrounded by a bunch of dudes with switchblades. All right, there's no talking your way out of this one.
Rick, go ahead.
No, well, so first of all, not that I have any illusions he's ever going to hear this, but Mr. Walsh, conservative radio fired you because everybody stopped listening to you. Didn't have anything to do with you being anti-Trump. It's the fact that you alienated the people that got you the job in the first place, you douche. Sorry, had to be done. But no, I mean, look. So the thing about it is, when I asked you how it is that your tagline can be, "Don't let them change you," I didn't necessarily mean it the way that Ross was just talking about. I've made some visible changes to how I do things in the last couple of weeks. I have turned more back towards my faith. For those of you who don't know this, I actually am a minister. I don't normally talk like one. I'm working on fixing that again. And I have started, opening my Bible more, praying more. I've even started praying for the people that apparently hate me, because I don't know what else to do other than, start telling people it's time to go to guns. I'm not ready to do that yet. Not because I don't think that we might eventually not get there, but because I can't bring myself to do that. As somebody that used to run towards bullets, I can't run as fast as I used to. And I don't really want to be in a civil war if I can avoid it. It's not that I won't if it comes to that. But so I understand exactly why Ross is as angry as he is. I was that way for most of the last couple of weeks. So I get it. And I still am. But I'm trying to find different ways to, yes, I'm even praying for you, although I can't speak your God's language, so I haven't figured that out yet. But no, seriously, I don't know what else to do. Like, I was so beside myself the other day, and I wound up not being able to start my show on time because they had to replace my modem and stuff. So I had another show concept that had just kind of been sitting there, and I didn't know what else to do because I couldn't sleep the night before. I was stressing out about all of it. So I launched a brand new show, completely centered around intertwining faith and politics. And the first showing of it was Tuesday. Because for me, part of it is, if we're going to fight this, we have to start fighting it in the way Charlie Kirk was fighting it. Because if you'll notice, they don't like that either. There's been like a handful of guys that have tried to keep that going. They keep running them off the campuses now.
Well, you know what? Let me say this. The one way that maybe this is one way I have changed, and maybe this makes me a hypocrite for the tagline. But the one thing I have changed is I've stopped giving people the benefit of the doubt when it comes to any sort of excuse or equivocation or whataboutism that comes out of people's mouths. I don't give the adversary, the person on the other side making the other side argument, the benefit of the doubt. For instance, when people are out there saying, Nextar and Sinclair, who, by the way, Sinclair is not exactly great themselves, but be that as it may, are making a principled stand for the First Amendment, and then people are saying that, we should be fighting free. I don't believe that any of these people are fighting for free speech. I don't believe these people know what free speech is. I believe that they are political opportunists and absolute hypocrites, and that is now my new default position. I no longer assume good faith coming from the other side. Let me give you an example of someone else who is doing that, and that is Greg Gutfeld. When it comes to arguments about either Charlie Kirk, the whataboutisms out there, or with regards to Jimmy Kimmel. Let's start with the Kimmel clip, because I believe this is more recent.
Anything worthy of level of explosion.
Your rationalization of both sides. You have to understand, since Kirk's death, there is no both sides anymore, Jessica.
Why did the DOJ take down the study that showed how much right-wing extremism?
What study was that? Which one? The one in The Economist that was sponsored by a group run by a guy in Antifa? That study that has been discredited by the Federalist? You're walking down a really bad alley right now.
Federalist?
Yes. I actually did see, Jessica, I did the deep dive on that study. That study was authored by a project that was run by a guy who says he was an Antifa. That is why that whole thing has been scrubbed, okay? It's real simple. You label someone a fascist or a racist or a Nazi, it makes you free to attack them, and that has been the ideology from the start. It's weird.
So why?
No. Let me talk.
Trump does it.
What?
Just tell me why it's okay. I'm
getting there. I'm getting there.
Great. I'm enjoying this.
Okay. You won't be for long. The left calls Trump a hate monger. They've called me a hate monger because I ridicule the left. I ridicule protesters. I ridicule academia, Hollywood, the news media. I make fun of The View every day. I make fun of the UN. Guess what? No one acts on the things that I say because my side doesn't do that.
I was muted. Sorry about that. Exactly. That's exactly what we do here as well. We point, laugh, mock. We do Buffoon of the Week. We do Buffoonology 101. And no one takes that as a clarion call to do anything. When somebody on the left hears all the demonization, Nancy Pelosi goes and says, well, we can't help how people are going to interpret what we're saying. That's the difference right there. And that goes back to what Ross was saying, how the left is made up of people who are easily radicalized because they're already kooks, crazies, cranks, looking for the excuse to go and do that. So the benefit of the doubt for anyone on the left trying to equivocate or do whataboutism, that is something I am done with.
It's not about them being crazy anymore, though. Think about this from another perspective. For most of the last decade, they've controlled almost all of the media. The right-leaning media hasn't really gotten this prominent until the last couple of years. Then, towards the end of Trump's term, beginning of Biden's term, the left did everything they could to wrest away social media control, start censoring people that were trying to put out information about what was going on with the elections, what was going on with COVID, all of the above. So only one side of the argument was getting pushed. So then the government starts pushing that one side of the argument. Start saying that we're the problem, that we're terrorists, that we are anti-democracy, that because Trump was a Russian asset, which was never able to be proven, but because they couldn't, all the information that tried to disprove it wasn't ever allowed to be seen, they ran with it. So now we're the traitors, we're the bad guys. And then the problem with that is they keep doing everything they can with their paid troll groups through Antifa and BLM to try to silence us, back us into corners, and get us to settle down and just go back to being the good little Republicans that are okay with losing and use it to fundraise and then try again in 2 more years, because that's what we've done for the longest time. The problem is we're not doing that anymore. So what's happening now is, since they can't get us to back down, when trying to force us into the corners doesn't work anymore, their party leadership uses all of the buzzwords to tell these people that we're the bad guys. And then they just sit and wait until somebody listens to the dog whistle and does what the hell they're basically telling them to do. And then they hold up their hands and go, wait, that's not what I meant. How is it not what you meant? You've been calling us that for a decade. We are Nazis. We are traitors. We're the problem. We're the threats to democracy. You can't say things like that. And then when somebody gets killed over it or unalived, sorry, YouTube, that you can't, well, we didn't mean it that way. Yes, you did. You're still saying it. Every single one of them is still saying it. Jimmy Kimmel on his first night back called us fascists again and then wanted to do the crocodile tears. Well, I didn't mean it the way you guys took it, you dumb fascist. I'm done with these people.
I love the voice. Remember the voice, Ross? I love the voice. He did the Kermit thing again. Do it again.
Yeah,
do it again.
Let me jump in here for a second. So you guys said a bunch of stuff that I just want to put my 2 cents into. First of all, Gene, I'm glad that you stopped accepting leftist premises, right? Never accept their premise. They never argue in good faith. So that's a good step that you're on the road to healing. There is no moral equivalence between the two sides. Zero, right? They are hypocrites. By the way, I don't even care about hypocrisy anymore. I truly don't care if we start doing the things to them that we complain that they did to us. I don't give a fuck anymore. I want to do it to them, and I want to do it to them worse. Rick mentioned that the way to do it, we don't necessarily want to go to picking up arms, and I get that, right? I don't want that either, okay? However, the Charlie Kirk method only works if the government does its fucking job, right? Where you protect speech and you go after actual domestic terrorists like Antifa and those funding them, okay? That's when free speech works and you can have conversations, because you would never think that you're having a debate and someone's going to shoot at you with a rifle, right? Because it just shouldn't happen, right? Our presidential candidate got shot at, a healthcare CEO got shot at, all by leftists, right? And killed.
Not just shot at, shot.
And killed. Yeah, well, our president got shot in the head, yes. And then several others got killed, including Charlie Kirk. And now, ironically, a bunch of illegal immigrants that were being detained by ICE got killed by a leftist who was trying to shoot at ICE but couldn't fucking shoot, right? So, you can only have those kinds of conversations if the government does their job. And then we wouldn't need to worry about, well, it's so dangerous out there, maybe we should start stockpiling ammo, right? Because who knows what's on the horizon if the government did their job, and they're not. So, and I'll end with this. I'll throw it back to you guys. Trump has flirted with this idea. J.D. Vance has said it. I know Stephen Miller has said it. They have to break up these terrorist left-wing organizations and the people that are funding them. It has to be done really, really soon, right? The clock is ticking. The first year of the Trump administration is almost over. I know we're going to talk about James Comey in the coming weeks, and he might get indicted. That's great, and that needs to be addressed too. But currently, there is a literal gun to our head by leftist terrorists, and we need to address that first.
Right. Now, let's talk about some of the things that we're seeing coming out of the administration. J.D. Vance had a message for Gavin Newsom, who has been a real critic and one of those figures out there that has been ratcheting up the rhetoric, the fascism rhetoric. What are you doing? What is that?
I'm mailing my check to a local right-wing organization. I'm not going to say which one.
All right. Hey, and as is your right. Listen to what J.D. Vance was saying earlier today in response to the events that you were talking about earlier, Ross, and that was this shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas.
I think that is the most disgusting thing. The very people who keep us safe ought to be honored and protected and praised by Democrats and Republicans alike. It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement. Because here's what happens. Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell, and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
Now, that all sounds good. And we saw that the president has indeed that he has indeed labeled Antifa as a terrorist organization, much to the consternation of Democrats out there, and probably some middle of the road Republicans as well. Let's be real. So thus far, Rick, it seems like they're saying the right thing and sort of doing the right thing. Now it's all about the follow through.
Yeah, now it's whether they're going to do anything about it or not. What the part that I found the most interesting was the part at the end where J.D. Vance specifically said, if you are saying things and spewing rhetoric that is inciting violence, you can go straight to hell. So Governor Newsom quote tweeted it and said, hey, J.D. Vance, I will not in fact be going to hell. But when I hear you speak, I feel like I'm already there. So basically, he just agreed that he's inciting violence. He just wasn't actually paying attention to what Vance said at the end, I don't think.
Yeah, and I would like to say about J.D. Vance, by the way he worded that was very carefully, and we should take note of this. He said they can go straight to hell. He didn't say we should ban their speech or throw them in jail. He said you should go straight to hell, and your type doesn't really have any there's no room for you in the political conversation. He kept it political because I'm a First Amendment absolutist. I don't care if I don't like the police a lot of times, right? So if I say I don't like the police and one gets shot, that has nothing to do with me, okay? So I'm not saying that the politicians that are calling us Nazi are the direct cause, right? You have causation, correlation. Maybe there's a correlation there, but it's not the cause. The cause is something else. Did we make Al-Qaeda attack us on 9/11 by the things we said? No, right? So what made them do it, right? Because they were evil, mentally unstable terrorists. And that's what the modern Democratic Party has become.
Absolutely. All right, so it's time for the grift, as I'm saying hi to people in chat. But we're halfway through the show here, so I gotta do the normal grift stuff here. I want to say to everybody, hey, thanks for tuning into this show. I'm Gene. That other guy is Ross, and you see Rick down below there. Rick, duck. Here comes a banner. We are Behind Enemy Lines. Thanks for tuning into the show. I hope that you hang around. I hope that you like, comment, share the show with your friends. Subscribe wherever you're watching, whether it be on Rumble, on X, on YouTube, wherever you are. It's still there. It's still there. You might have to. Well, you're short. You'll be fine. So check us all out here. I'm also going to ask you to go to shop.buffoonoftheweek.com, where we have merch coming out very soon. Actually, I've been working on a few things, and you can check out the merch that's already there. And that's going to be really it. I'm not going to do the plug for the website because it is currently under construction, and we're going to be getting to that in about a week or two as well. So that takes care of the grift. I want to thank everybody who's in the chat right now. I want Notion Monger, who's over there in the gulag that is Rumble, saying subscribe, people. Hell yeah, I love that. Nice. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Shout out to Zelda in the chat, even though we know who she's favoring, and it is me, Rick. So sorry.
It's all good. She has no taste, so that's fine.
Well, clearly she has no taste. Anyway,
she tried to date me once. That just kind of proves my point.
Oh, stop it. Stop it all. There were other events that happened since the assassination and brutal murder of Charlie Kirk. Things that haven't really gotten a lot of mainstream coverage, but let's talk about, we talked about the Dallas shooting in ICE, where, by the way, the bullets actually said anti-ICE on them, but Democrats still wanted to claim that it was a right-wing shooter because the people who ended up being killed indiscriminately happened to be detainees and not members of ICE. So despite the best efforts of the shooter, go ahead.
That was one of the points Tarlov was trying to make. That's what set Greg over the edge. She started saying he carved that stuff on the bullet, not because he meant it, but because he wanted us to read it on Fox News.
Sure.
That's when Greg lost it.
Sure. Well, there was also a wedding in Nashua, New Hampshire, where someone busted into it and started talking about political stuff at this wedding. This is a very short clip from the local news up in Nashua.
That they knew who.
Didn't hear anything. He just came out and said.
What he said.
Yeah, what he said was the children are safe and free Palestine.
What was that moment like when you heard the gunshots?
At first, I didn't realize it was gunshots. It sounded like balloons because we were at a festivity thinking, maybe somebody popped a balloon. But then you look around, we didn't have balloons.
Didn't have balloons there, but we did have a guy screaming "Free Palestine" coming in. New chatter in the area: Vermin, Jimmy Kimmel is a crybaby deep fake. I have a theory about that, and I'm glad that Vermin brought this up. This is going to take us off track from that clip, but Ross, tell me what you think of this. Is it possible that Republicans and conservatives want to keep people like Jimmy Kimmel on air, talking about being a deep fake, because he's easy to lampoon, easy to target, easy to parody, easy to make a fool of, and is therefore not really a threat and has zero impact, especially given his ratings prior to his return to the air?
See, I'm not going to call you a liberal, but I don't accept the premise of your question here either. I don't think conservatives have a feeling one way or the other. I don't like Jimmy Kimmel. He is not funny. I do not watch him. I will never say he should be taken off the air by an act of government, right? If ABC or Disney is losing money, he should be off the air, okay? Yeah. I don't even care if he lies. I don't care if he makes fun of only conservatives. I don't care if he calls us Nazis. I really don't, right? But I don't think the government should be taking him off the air, and I don't care what conservatives think. Conservatives shouldn't watch him. I don't watch professional football anymore since they had all those stupid racist and gay stuff on their helmets, right? I just don't spend my money on those things.
Let's be honest. When Tom Brady left, you left. That's the truth, right?
I mean, that's probably more true than anything else, but I don't even passively watch it if it's on a bar at a bar anymore. Never.
Well, Vermin seems to agree with me. I'm going to put this other comment. He is a useless, useful idiot. Rick, do you think that that the, I guess you want to call them the middle of the road Republicans, the leadership, the rhinos, whatever you want to call them, they see value in keeping someone as feckless as Kimmel on air because it suits their needs and it keeps a lot crazier or maybe more influential people from having a voice?
I think that actually has a lot to do with it. I mean, look at it from this perspective. In his prime demographic, the one that show is hunting for and is striving to hit, He averages 125,000 viewers a night, and they are paying him $88,000 an episode.
Yeah.
The only reason he is still on the air is because people that do the work that we do are talking about his clips and playing his clips and watching his shows so we can find things to make fun of. It's kind of like CNN being on in the airports. If we finally just gave up and stopped using him as cannon fodder, he'd be gone tomorrow because nobody would be paying attention anymore.
Andrew Young jumping into the chat. Would it surprise anyone if I said I haven't watched late night TV since Johnny retired? I did watch Leno and Letterman, so that would surprise me. And there was a whole movie on HBO about the late night wars and the bidding of the contract to succeed Johnny Carson. Ross, I think late night's dead.
Yeah,
it's all dead. Nobody watches it.
Yeah, the format itself is dead, right? Two things. One, very few people, I'll say, want to watch interviews with Hollywood celebrities, right? It's just not a thing anymore. And the one-on-one format what the death knell was they're just not funny, okay? Like, Colbert used to be funny when he was on Comedy Central. He's not funny on network television. Jimmy Kimmel used to be funny on The Man Show. Not funny anymore, right? So, yeah, late night shows are dead. Jimmy Fallon is the only one who has a chance to redeem himself. Every once in a while, he's still funny, right? But he's a leftist too, and I don't think he can pull out of it.
You know when he was funniest? When he had Greg Gutfeld as a guest, and the left flamed him for it. That's the last
and
time
when he had Donald Trump
movie.
on, and him and Donald Trump had some good banter, and on SNL they were on there together. Like, he was funny at some point. You can make fun of the right. God knows there's a lot of material there, right? But they're just not funny.
Absolutely. A lot of people in the chat agreeing that a lot of TV is dead. Streaming is the new TV. I certainly agree with that. And we were just talking about, there was this incident in Nashua. There was also a shooting of an ABC affiliate. Let me get Miss Zelda off the screen there. Hey, Zelda, how you doing? But I do want to get to this clip talking about the shooting outside of ABC 10 in California.
4-year-old man named Hannibal Hernandez Santana has been arrested as the suspect in the shooting that led to an investigation here at ABC 10 in Sacramento along Broadway. And as the sun has risen this morning, you can see for yourself plywood over one of the windows in the lobby there. Now, earlier in the day on Friday, police were called here in response to shots fired from outside the ABC 10's building. No one was injured despite the building being occupied at the time. 3 bullet holes were seen in the window on the building's lobby, and that's when the investigation began. Later the same day, KCRA3 saw police in the River Park neighborhood, including SWAT teams. A witness at the scene reported seeing a man tackled and then taken into custody. Sacramento police thanked the FBI for providing resources in its investigation.
Of course. But interestingly enough, what wasn't in that news report from NBC was that Anibal, or, Hannibal, the Hannibal, whatever you wanted to call him, that person that was arrested was the legislative director for the California Teachers Union. Interesting. Here we go again. I know that people like to talk about, there's a lot of right-wing crime out there too. And no, look at what's going on around you now. This wedding in New Hampshire, the shooting at this ABC 10, what happened to Charlie Kirk, and you mean to tell me the shooting at the school in Minneapolis, Annunciation, the Catholic school there, we're seeing Democrat governments trying to throttle the American people through social media to get them to shut up. We saw that, Google said that they did it. Facebook said they did it. X said they did it. Well, formerly X. Twitter said they did it. My God, how can people go out there with a straight face and say that this isn't primarily, at this moment, a left-wing problem that needs to be addressed?
All the while, Gene, while Democrats continuously try to disarm us, all while their violent left-wing militias are out there committing acts of terrorism against us. Does anyone else find that troubling?
I just want to put this up because I don't know if our universal chat here picks up what is being said on Rumble, but here's Notion Manager again saying there's a copycat aspect to these shooters as well. I remember in the 90s when teen suicide went up because it was in the news a lot. And Ross, I want you to say your response to that you put into the chat.
Yeah, a lot of people on TV are saying, the copycat phenomena. It's not copycats, right? This is actually who they are. The violent left is violent, okay? It's not like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me go ruin my life because some other idiot shot a healthcare CEO. No. Those ticking time bombs are out there, folks, and they're not copycats. They're just getting brave enough to do it.
That's kind of where I am,
Yeah, they're emboldened. Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say, Maya Angelou said it best. When they show you who they are, believe them. They've been showing us for a decade, and we haven't wanted to believe them. I would like to remind everyone that up until the last couple of years, we used to look at the left as if they were good people with terrible ideas. I don't see them that way anymore, especially not the very far left, because they don't have any good ideas anymore. If they did, they would be able to win in the arena of ideas. They can't, which is why they shot Charlie Kirk in the neck, because they can't win.
There's a great comment right there. I need to see someone doing an investigation into whether or not Democrats have any ties to the United States of America. Great comment there.
I think Cosmic Guard had even a better one. Throw his up, Gene.
This one?
Yes.
Is that the one you're talking about? How the weapons of choice have degraded since USAID got degraded.
So what that comment refers to is during the USAID years, these people had scoped out expensive, high-quality rifles, and now they're using World War I surplus rifles with no serial numbers on.
Now they're using granddad's rifles with no serial
Yeah,
numbers.
and wasn't it amazing how there was that knee-jerk reaction after the shooting for gun control when this was a bolt-action antique rifle? It's absolutely crazy. Shout out to the 60 concurrent viewers we have right now across platforms. You guys are really making us feel good about this discussion. The chat is jumping across platforms as well. You guys are killing it right now. I really appreciate that. I think at this point, it is way too soon for America to be talking about solutions. There needs to be a proper mourning period. And I know that we just had the memorial for Charlie Kirk in a sold-out football stadium, by the way. I do want to talk about the differing reactions between those on the right. I gotta stop saying Republicans. Those on the right, those on the left, in response to when things like this happen. Has there been any real violent mass outrage since the murder and assassination of Charlie Kirk? The answer to that obviously has been no. We've seen no cities destroyed. We've seen no property damage. We've seen no unrest in the streets. What we've seen is people coming together to pray. And when the worst that you see is some littering after over 100,000 people gathered together and people complain about that, I think that's the only answer we need right now, because if this were the other way around, there would be curfews and unrest in every major city and destruction of property. It would all be out there. Rick, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, so the thing that this brought home for me is kind of like with the difference between the 2020 and the 2024 election. If you needed any more proof that there was definitely something fishy that happened in 2020, whether you want to admit it or not, all you got to do is look at the numbers. Where did like 5 million people go? They're just gone. So what this showed me, because with as mad as we supposedly were over that election, that people started supposedly storming the Capitol, even though 99.9% of them were invited in. And then the violence actually started when the police decided to start using less than lethal rounds and stuff before anybody even did anything. And there's actually video traffic and radio traffic to back that up. I've talked about it on every show I've done for over a year. You couldn't hear them, and half the time they got pulled, but I'm going to rerun them now that they're telling me that all this stuff is going away. We're going to find out. But it kind of showed me that all that stuff for January 6th was basically a psyop. Because if anything would have gotten us to start lighting cities on fire, en masse, it would have been this. Instead, 100,000 people showed up in an arena and in an overflow. Over 1 million people were watching on TV, and hundreds of millions of people were watching online.
100 million streams.
Dude, I
that
would
were
kill for
going
that.
on that day.
Could you imagine if we had
Unbelievable.
created that number just once?
It should. Well, I mean, listen, we gotta up our game clearly, but it should be a message to everyone out there that this leftist narrative about right-wing violence is just that. It's just their narrative. They need to. It's more lies on top of more lies on top of more lies. And unfortunately, in this day and age, Ross, a lie travels around the world faster than before the truth gets out of bed.
Yeah, and I mean, you said look at the numbers, right? And you're talking about narratives. What else happened not too long ago that just got wiped out of the news? Pretty little white girl stabbed to death by a deranged leftist black man in North Carolina. How do I know he's a leftist? Trust me, right? It goes back to my example at the beginning of the show. Every madman you see is, if they vote, they're voting Democrat, okay? Whites being beaten and killed overwhelmingly by black suspects across the country. Black violence in every major city. Those numbers are wiped completely out of the news over the latest batch of violence committed by other Democrats from other demographics. Simply put, if we disarmed Democrats in this country, violent crime would go down by at least 90%. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I'm glad Notion Monger here is trying to put forth some solutions. How Trump needs to keep going after the money and cripple those funding the violence, and how USAID was a good start. I don't know if we're ready to talk solutions just yet. I think there needs to be a cathartic release that we have been seeing lately. And I think like Gutfeld has been the personification of that whenever he speaks. There needs to be this moment of release, almost a mourning for, I think this is what Russ was trying to get at before. What Russ was trying to get at before was the rules of engagement have changed. Those rules are gone. That world is gone. It's not coming back. Almost in the way that we saw a changing of the world on September 11th, we're now seeing a new environment. The era of civility, if it ever really existed, is gone, Rick.
Oh, I mean, well, there was civility. It started going away in the 80s because remember when Reagan was in office, he actually quipped on a news program that he did that he and Tip would go to guns from 8 to 5 and then go have a beer. The civility ended when the Democrats said, okay, so if you let all these people that are already here stay legally, then we'll work with you to fix immigration reform. So he did, because he took them at their word. And then they stabbed him in the back, Ides of March style, because they knew he was done. He can't stay anymore. They got what they wanted from him. He was getting tossed out anyway. And that's when everything started separating. Because remember, before then, they had lunch together. They hung out together. They talked with each other. They started separating after that because there were a lot of hurt feelings on the Republican side because they did what they thought was the right thing and they got stabbed in the back for it. So everybody that keeps wanting to blame us for this, we didn't start any of this. They did years ago. And by years ago, I was like 8. That's how long ago.
Rick, you're saying he got stabbed in the back. It's worse. They shot Reagan too. Like everybody forgets about that. Ronald Reagan literally also got shot by a deranged leftist.
But so see, here's the difference though, because the difference between what happened then versus what happened now is Ronald Reagan, before they took him into the operating table, was joking with the doctors and said, "I hope you guys voted Republican." The doctors looked at him. The 2 doctors that were working with him, pushing him in, said, "Today, Mr. President, we're all Republicans." That should have been what happened on September 10th, 2025. But instead, it's his fault because he's a race baiter, fearmonger, a-hole.
And that's what should have happened with the resolution put forth in Congress memorializing Charlie Kirk. There was a line in that proposed resolution that ultimately did pass with bipartisan support. There was a line in there, and I'm going to try to find it now, condemning all violence. It was at the last line of the resolution, yet 58 Democrats chose to vote against that resolution. Another 48 Democrats voted present for that resolution. And another group that I believe another 20 or so didn't even bother showing up for that resolution. So I don't believe, again, this goes along with not giving the benefit of the doubt to these rat bastards anymore.
This is why Gutfeld is so tired of the both sides argument, because the two times that Tarlov has been on the show in the last couple of weeks where she's tried to bring up the both sides argument, he has lost it. And the first time he realized what he did and he took the time to apologize. I'm not sure they're friends anymore, because after today he had enough, and I never heard him try to apologize for anything that he said today. So I think he's had enough. But this is why the both sides argument doesn't work, because for you guys didn't do anything when the Republican tried to kill those state senators in Minnesota. Yes, we did. First of all,
okay, wait. Now I have to push back on that, because there was a similar resolution brought in Congress.
That was what I was about to say
about Melissa Hortman. Yeah, I know, but it's my show. I get to make the good points. And every Republican unanimously voted to support that resolution. So when Democrats are out there and leftists are out there and liberals are out there saying that, oh, well, nobody cared about Melissa Hortman, bullshit. That's absolute bullshit, because they helped pass a unanimous resolution condemning the violence of a person, by the way, who was appointed into the Minnesota government by Tim Walz.
Who said he was doing it because Tim Walz told him to. Now, whether the dude's nuts or whether Tim Walz is nuts is a story for another day. But yeah, I mean, even in that, we're like, okay, we agree this was a terrible thing. We'll do that. They couldn't even do that. I mean, you're talking about over 100 Democrats that in one way or the other either said no or just we don't care. That means
I found the line in the resolution from the House resolution for Charlie Kirk. The last line of it said, quote, "The House of Representatives calls on all Americans to reject political violence, recommit to respectful debate, uphold American values, and respect one another as fellow Americans." 96 elected Democrats either voted against that or took no position to that. And that's where I agree with Ross about the rules of engagement changing here. That, to me, is the ultimate declaration of a civil war. When the other side can't even agree for all sides to condemn all violence because it's done so in the name of a Christian conservative, that's a declaration of war, in my opinion. Ross, you can riff all you want.
Yeah, so, and I just want to rewind for a second. Let's not be so flippant to say that person in Minnesota was a Republican, okay? I know we just mentioned that he was appointed to a board by Tim Walz. Tim Walz called us Nazis. I don't think he's appointing real Republicans to anything, okay? He had no King's Day flyers found in his car after that shooting, and the senator that he shot had just voted with Republicans a few days before she was murdered, okay? So that guy was not a Republican either. I do not accept the premise, and we're not going to go there, and because that's a both sides thing, right? Bullshit. That guy wasn't a Republican.
I was about to try to say that, but Gene cut me off so he could take the good point. I have to jump, so I just want to point this out as I wave by. You have, in fact, let them change you, sir. Have a great night.
Yes! Got him.
Fine. Do your plug so you can get the hell out of here.
All right. For those of you hanging out on the Kayla Radio side, Rick and Orty coming up next. I'll be live also tomorrow morning. Rick Robinson Show, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you, once Gene is done, if you want to hang out with us, I'll be pushing buttons till 2 a.m. because when Orty and I are done, we go start running some stuff for the SHR Media crew. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye now. Thanks for coming on the show, Rick. Really appreciate you. Stop stealing my points from now on. All right. It's right around closing time here on the show. Time for some final thoughts. Ross, we promised our friends at Freedom Chat a little bit of a debate, and we didn't get to do a show last week, but we promised that we would start discussing how you are now no longer a You're not a Charlie Kirk Republican or a Charlie Kirk conservative. You're now a Nick Fuentes conservative. Do you still feel that way?
I absolutely feel that way.
Go
You don't fight from the middle ground. Do I agree with everything Nick Fuentes says? Obviously not, right? I don't even think.
Hold on, Herman, thank you very much. You're freaking awesome. I'm glad you're here. Hope you come back next week with us as well.
I don't even think Nick Fuentes agrees with everything Nick Fuentes says, okay? But the guy has balls of steel, and he'll fight these leftists every day. And he doesn't care about offending people. He doesn't give a damn if YouTube bans him, if Twitter banned him, right? He doesn't care. And that's what we need to be, Gene. There's no meeting them halfway or hearing them out, right? That went away, I think, before Charlie Kirk, but definitely now after Charlie Kirk. I don't even want to hear them anymore. I'm not entertaining their ideas. I don't want to listen to some girl on a college campus talk about some scientific studies that she don't even know if they exist or not, that shows that kids can be born in the wrong fucking body, right? Like, these people are absurd. I will not listen to them. And now we just openly mock them. Okay. Nick Fuentes. Yeah. For now, he's my guy.
Well, if you want to go shouting off into the wilderness, I mean, that's up on you. I'd rather be shouting into
the muzzle of a gun.
What?
The muzzle of a gun? Is that what you want to go? You want to go debate these people on their campuses and get shot?
Calm down. There's a group. There's a fearless tour going on right now that I absolutely love. And you know what? If I was big time enough to get invited to one of these things, hell yeah, I would. Absolutely. I'm not big time enough for that, though.
Great. And you can go on there and say that you haven't changed and you still want to hear these people out. I don't want to hear shit they have to say, right? I think the Democratic Party is a terrorist organization, right? They are. Whether direct or indirect, George Bush put it best after 9/11. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists, okay? At this point, the Democratic fundraising apparatus, without a doubt, is funneling money through intermediaries and winding up in the hands of leftist armed militia groups, okay? That's clearly happening. They're antagonizing them. They're pushing them. They're fanning the flames. The whole Democratic Party owes us reparations, and they should be deemed a terrorist organization.
Okay. When you withdraw from the public square, you are giving them the ground that they need to continue to lie, to continue to obfuscate, to continue to push their narrative to the point where those in the middle will start believing that narrative. So sorry, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. It's just not the right play. If you want to hear what I said earlier and talk in your bubble, then go talk in your bubble. I'm not going to talk in a Nick Fuentes bubble. I'm going to talk in
bubble. Gene, our bubble is growing every single day and has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's campus tour. Yes, he got more young people involved that might have been inclined to vote Republican but were nervous, and that was all great work, and I tip my hat to him, okay? But our side is growing every day. But, RFK didn't join our party because of Charlie Kirk, right? He joined the party because their party is fucking demented, right? And there's nothing that's going to solve it. They have boiled themselves down to a core of evil, right? There's no more. We can't save many more of them, right? We've gotten all the ones we can save. The rest of them need to be jettisoned off, whether it's through national divorce or some other means.
All right. I didn't mean to hijack your final thought, by the way.
That's not my final thought. My final thought.
I know. But we did promise a little bit of this debate. This is something that's going to be continuing on the show, especially as Nick Fuentes finally goes nuclear, offends everybody again, gets ostracized again, and gets pushed out to the fringe of political thought again. Then we'll be waving goodbye to Mr. Galloway, who has his moment now while he still wants it to give his final thought.
Nick Fuentes is the hero we need right now.
Coming from the guy who wants to free George Santos. So sure. Yeah, no
absolutely free George Santos.
Screw that.
Let me get my final thought. My final thought is short, but it's along these same lines. Governor Gavin Newsom is a scumbag, okay? He signed something the other day that bans federal aid. By the way, he has no jurisdiction to do any of this, but that bans federal agents, specifically ICE, from wearing masks when effecting arrests or performing law enforcement duties in the shithole state of California. Okay. By the way, these are the same motherfuckers that made us all wear masks not too long ago, right? They have some nerve talking about masks and why they're bad, all over a fake virus, I might add. All right. So I've mentioned this on a few shows before. Why do the Mexican federales, the federal police, mask up when they're arresting cartel members? Why do they do it, Gene? Because
they worry about their families.
But to protect themselves and their families from criminal narco-terrorist cells in Mexico. Who is ICE primarily going after? The criminal element and any other miscellaneous illegals that happen to be in their spheres, right, when they're making these arrests. So it makes sense why they would be masked for their own protection. Real protection, not like the fake COVID protection, wearing a mask that wouldn't stop it. This is actual real protection. So I'll close with this, and that's my final thought. There is no moral equivalence between any of the things we say on the right and what they say on the left, right? Fuck them. I don't care about hypocrisy anymore. We need to do whatever they do to us tenfold. No moral equivalence, and I support a national divorce. Gene, it's your final thought.
My final thought was just going to be pray for the Mets, but okay. As they're currently losing 8-2. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so folks, my final thought, very simple. We heard today that Donald Trump's second would-be assassin was convicted, and on his way out the door, he tried to stab himself with a pen. I understand why court officers had to stop it, but it is what it is. So, to Ryan Routh, don't drop the soap, big homie, because I guarantee you there's going to be more than a few Trump supporters in whatever facility that you're in that probably going to want to meet you. Good luck to you. And oh, by the way, since we're talking about prisoners, George Santos, I hear you're having a rough time in solitary because there's some threats against you. I'm sorry that there are threats against you, but you did the crime. So now do the time, no matter what any other bleeding heart like Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to say to you. Just like I have no use for any further with leftists and giving them the benefit of the doubt, I have no use for criminals, and I don't give them the benefit of the doubt. That's it for me, guys. That's it for Ross. We are behind enemy lines, or at least we were, but now it is time to shut this sucker down. You ready to go, pal? Go ahead. Get your life licking. We're getting the hell out. God bless everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We had a great discussion here. Great discussion in the chat. You guys are awesome in the chat. Thank you. God bless. We will probably see you next week, barring any unforeseen circumstances. But until then, we're out of here. So let's play that motherfucking anthem. Good night, everybody.
Not without electoral.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Teeth, don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows, flag on my chest, repping my clan, putting faith to the test. Cause left they lose behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw, cool in the chaos, but loud in the war. But loud in the war. In this Democrat case. Whispers in the dark, strategies on